Hey polish fans, it's Caroline again and welcome to another video here at Wild Moon Lacquer. If you're new here, hi, my name is Caroline and I love to talk about nail polish. You'll also see the occasional jewelry or makeup video on my channel. In today's video, we are going over another section of my winter nail polish rack, some of my mainstream polishes. So this is going to cover anything that you could normally get at the drugstore, places like Walmart, things like that. So you're going to have everything from Sally Hansen, Color Club, and Sinful Colors, also some China Glaze and OPI. The only ones that I will say off the bat are probably going to be harder to find are these two here. L'Oreal and Barry M are harder to find here in the States, but they are polishes that I already had in my collection, and I figured if you already have them in yours, you might want to think about them for winter as well. So let's go ahead and dig into the first polish. We're going to start off with some greens, which I think is kind of unusual for my nail polish rack, at least in these tones. So this first one is Sally Hansen's Emerald City. And this is a beautiful emerald green. This one does swatch a bit lighter than I thought it would in the bottle. In the bottle, you're seeing a beautiful emerald shimmer. I wouldn't necessarily call this a metallic. There's not really a chromatic effect on the nails. This is in 3 coats. It was one of the sheer polishes, which I was again kind of surprised by, but it is a beautiful deep emerald color. I do think it would look really beautiful on, especially with maybe like a silver topper on it, some silver bar glitters or snowflakes, something like that to be very wintry, but a beautiful rich color. So that first one was Sally Hansen's Emerald City. Sticking with our greens and going to a different finish, we have one from Sinful Colors, and this one is called Empire Green. Now, this is one that I got in a mystery box, and I was really excited to see this because I love this tone of green and I love these frosted bottles. So this one is going to be really hard to see in the bottle, but this has somewhat of a like shattered metallic chrome look that ends up being matte on the nail. This is it in 3 coats. I do think this is one that some people would be able to do just 2 coats in, but for swatches I ended up doing 3 to reach the depth of color that I was hoping for. And as you can see, you've got that sort of a shattered metallic look on the nail, and I love how it looks matte. Now this is without a top coat, so if you wanted it to last longer on your nails, I would recommend a top coat on top of this and then using a matte top coat to give yourself the matte effect. Or just know that it's probably not going to last as long on your nails without a top coat, but I really do like this effect. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous, and it's definitely more of a color of green that I could see myself reaching for. So that one was Sinful Colors, Empire Green. Next up is one of the sheer polishes and more of like a green shimmer. This one is a molten metal polish from Barry M, and this one is called Blue Glacier. So this one I put in with the greens because it does have that sort of an aqua shift that in my eyes is more on the green side of things than it is with a blue. For comparison, if you put it up to a blue, you definitely see much more green in Blue Glacier. So this one has a beautiful aqua sparkle, and then there's also some little gold flecks in there. This one is another one that it turned out to be pretty sheer on the nail. This is in 3 coats. I do really like how it turned out though. I think it's a beautiful, somewhat metallic without being a chromatic metallic. There's some beautiful sparkle in here, and I think this particular shade is nice and wintry with that sort of an icy blue-green shade. I think that'll look really beautiful matte actually. Maybe put a matte top coat. So that one was Barry M's Blue Glacier. And our last green is somewhat outside the box, I think, as far as traditional greens for winter. This one is from L'Oreal, and it is Safari Chic, but I thought that this kind of a color would be really beautiful for winter. It's somewhat of a dusty shade, like a dusty army green, and it is really, really gorgeous. There is a very subtle shimmer in there. I can't honestly tell if it's like a soft silver or maybe a very, very light blue. Here is Safari Chic in 2 coats. That shimmer that was in the bottle, I really don't see at all on the nail. But again, I think this is a beautiful shade for winter. I really like this tone. It's a bit more earthy than the brighter greens. And I really, really like this one. I just wish that that shimmer would have shown up a little on the nail, but I didn't see that at all. In any case, that was L'Oreal's Safari Chic. Next up is a China glaze. This is from the Grinch collection and it is called You're a Mean One. And this is a really beautiful deep purple with a gold to copper shimmer in there. This is a beautiful rich color. I think this could equally work nicely for fall, but I also really love these rich colors for winter. Here is this one in 2 coats. Some longer nails might need a 3rd coat because this does have a somewhat squishy formula, but I was happy with the opacity in 2. I love that you can see the shimmer on the nail. You get that beautiful shift from like a red to copper. And I love that kind of a shimmer in a purple base. Absolutely gorgeous. So that one was China Glaze's You're a Mean One. Next up is one from OPI. This one is called Pepe's Purple Passion. Now, I think this one might be an older one, so I'm not sure how readily available this one might be, but it is a really beautiful and fun winter shade. This is another type of color that, again, I love for fall and winter, and this is really unique in my collection. You have this sort of a dusty berry shade in a cream formula with a beautiful larger glass fleck shimmer size. These go from like a purple to an orange, and I love them in this base. Very unique to my collection. This is in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. All of the regular polishes that didn't dry matte do have a top coat for this. And you can see the flakies in here, the larger shimmer particles, but it's not super prominent, and I think it's because the cream formula is a cream. It is a pretty opaque formula, but it does look beautiful on the nail. It's a really gorgeous rich color. So that one was OPI's Pepe's Purple Passion. Sticking with our berry tones, we have another China Glaze. This one is called Perfect Plum. And again, these kind of rich berry shades are just perfect for fall and winter. And this is a really beautiful tone of it. It is a bit on the muted side, maybe not quite a dusty plum. You have that rich coloration that doesn't quite go to a jewel tone because it is that mid-range in between a like purple and red. And it's really gorgeous. Here it is in 2 coats. This one definitely had a beautifully opaque formula in just 2 coats. Again, this type of color is just absolutely gorgeous. I think it's very flattering on the nail as well. And since it is a cream, you could play around with using this in nail art also. You could do some stamping, you could do a topper over this, you could fiddle around with a couple of different colors and do like swipes of other colors on top of this. So that was China Glaze Perfect Plum. Next up is a polish that I got at Dollar Tree. This is from Kiss, and this one is called Fall Ing. And this one might look in the bottle to be very, very similar to the one that we just looked at from China Glaze, but they're actually different colors. They're in the same realm, but the one from Kiss is actually a bit darker. I don't know if that's going to be easy to tell on camera, but you have a deeper color from Kiss. And the one from China Glaze is a little bit muted by comparison. I think that might mean there's a bit more white in that formula. So here is Fall Ing in 2 coats. Again, you have a beautiful formula with just 2 coats. Very nice and opaque. I don't see anyone needing more than just 2 coats on this one. And again, you have a beautiful rich tone on the nail. Again, very, very flattering. This one has that deeper tone, as you can see, compared to the one from China Glaze. So that one was Kiss Fall Ing. Now we're getting even darker. This one is OPI's Lincoln Park After Dark. This is a classic for sure. A lot of people have this in their collection, and no doubt a lot of people have pulled this for either fall or winter. It is one of those really rich purple colors that is so dark that in some lighting it will look black, and I have yet to wear this one, so I need to get this one on my nails. Here it is in 2 coats. As you can see, it is a very dark shade, very nearly a black, but you do get that sort of a pinch of a royal purple in there, a very deep, deep purple. I think this one will look really nice on as well. Sort of a different alternative than having a stark black nail polish. So that one was OPI's Lincoln Park After Dark. Next up is more of a true purple without the berry tones of our previous colors. This one is Sinful Colors Twisted Obsession, and this one came out in a collection with Bebe. I don't actually know who that is. I'm probably showing my age there, but so this is another one that dries to that beautiful velvet matte finish. It again has that amazing frosted bottle, which I adore. Here it is in 2 coats. I absolutely love this one. It is vampy and rich, and I love the velvet texture. You have a very similar texture on the nail, maybe even exactly to Empire Green. They are absolutely gorgeous. If you know of any other polishes like this from Sinful Colors or any other brand that dry to this beautiful matte finish, definitely let me know, because so far these are a favorite. So that was Sinful Colors, Twisted Obsession. Next up is another one of our shearer polishes. This is from OPI, and it is Leonardo's Model Color. This is an absolutely dazzling, sparkling polish, and I love it when you get to see mainstreams do colors like this that look very much like an indie polish. You have all of the sparkles in this one. The base color is one of those shades that's somewhere between a purple and a blue, just depends on what else you're comparing it to. And then you have some gold and pink flashes in there in a larger particle size. Not quite a flaky. It's just beautiful. This one was a shearer polish, so I did need 3 coats to reach mostly opaque. Longer nails might want to wear this over a blurring base coat or an undie to reach full opacity either sooner or to make sure that you do get full opacity. But I love the shimmers and twinkles on this, and I love that they formulated it in such a way that you can actually see it on the nail. Like, there's no doubt that this has a special, beautiful formula. So that was OPI's Leonardo's Model Color. Next up is our only chromatic metallic. This is from Essie, and it is called Nothing Else Metals. I was on the hunt for this kind of a metallic light purple or lilac shade a couple years back, and I think this one is really close to what I was looking for, if not a bit more silver than what I was initially looking for, but it is an incredible formula. It is a 1-coater, you guys. 1 coat. I was stunned when I got this opaque in 1 coat, and I wasn't even going that heavy of a coat, and look how beautifully this turned out. It is so smooth. I was thoroughly expecting for there to be more issues with streakiness, especially for a chrome polish, but this is gorgeous. I don't know if it's just my bottle or if I had a really great swatch session with this bottle, but it is really beautiful, and I cannot wait to get this one on my nails. I think this one is going to look beautifully icy for winter. So that one was Essie's Nothing Else Metals. Next up is one of our dusty purples. You'll see this kind of color on my rack and in my collection quite frequently because I love this type of color. This is another classic from Essie. This is Warm and Toasty Turtleneck, and this is one that I had on my wish list for quite some time, and I finally have it in my collection, and I want to get it on my nails this winter. It is one of those beautiful dusty tones of like a mauvey gray purple, and it's a beautiful cream formula. I was able to get it opaque in 2 coats. I love the tone to this one. It is a beautiful mixture of a gray and a lilac purple, and it's really gorgeous on the nail. This is another kind of color that I think is just super flattering. This is another one that's probably going to have to make it up there on my must wear this year. Needs to get on my fingers. So that one was Essie's Warm and Toasty Turtleneck. Next up is a sort of a blurply shade. This is a Revlon called Not So Blueberry, and I think this one came to me in either a mystery bag or a Goodwill bag, and I love this kind of color, again, that mixes a blue and purple. There is a beautiful mix of shimmer in here. I'm seeing some green, some silver, and maybe a little smattering of purple flecks in there. This is it in 2 coats. I think on the nail it definitely leans more purple, like a gray purple, and you can see all of those beautiful twinkles in that shimmer on the nail. It almost creates more of like a special finish on the nail as opposed to being just a straight up shimmer polish. So I love that they decided to formulate it that way so you can see on the nail what you were seeing in the bottle. I think this is another really beautiful shade, pretty unique to my collection as well, especially for a mainstream. So that one was Revlon's Not So Blueberry. Next up we have a beautiful color. This one is from Sinful Colors, and it is called Blues Cruise, and this is somewhere in that lineup of the Very Perry color of the year for 2022, and I haven't gotten this kind of color on my nails that much this year, and I'm rather bummed about that because periwinkle is one of my favorite kinds of colors. You'll hear me say it all the time that anything that lies between blues and purples is just right up my alley. Purple is basically my favorite color, but somehow when you mix it with blue, it gets even better. I don't know how, but this is a really beautiful formula. It's a cream polish. This is it in 2 coats. On the swatch, it actually turns out to be a little bit more on the blue side of things, but it's going to be one of those colors that, depending on your lighting, depending on what else is around it as far as colors go, you're going to see it either be more blue or more purple, and I love that about these kind of colors. And I think this is another one that's going to have to make it up to my must wear this winter. So that one was Sinful Colors, Blues Cruise. Next up is one of our blue, like shattered metallics. This one is from Morgan Taylor and it is called Rhythm and Blues. This is another one that came from a Goodwill bag and I cannot wait to wear it this season. This is gorgeous. I think this kind of has a very similar formula to the ones that I've been enjoying from Sinful Colors. It just doesn't dry to a matte finish. So you get that sort of a shattered metallic look in the bottle. And this is it in 2 coats. This was another one that had a beautiful formula in just 2. I think this one would look really beautiful matte as well, but another gorgeous, deeper, icy shade of blue that I think is perfect for this season. I love the flecks in there, and again, I love it when what you're seeing in the bottle comes out on the nail. I love that. So that one was Morgan Taylor's Rhythm and Blues. Next up, I had to pick out a holo for this season. If you watched part 1 of my winter nail polish rack, you saw that I had quite a few silvers, but I wanted to have other colors as well. This one is from Color Club and it is called Crystal Baller, and it is a blue holographic. I say it quite a lot. The holos from Color Club are really impressive. I mean, look at that linear flare. Very impressive, especially for the price. You could easily put these in a lineup with other holographics from indie brands and not point this one out as being lesser than, because you still have that amazing flare. I almost want to say that there's also a shimmer particle in here that adds an additional shimmer on top of the holo. I have worn this one before, but I tried wearing it in summer and to me it just didn't fit in summer, so I wanted to try it in winter. This is it in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. And just look at that intense shade. It is a deeper tone of blue, which is I think why I didn't really like it for myself in summer, but it is still a beautiful color. I think it'll fit in nicely for winter. And I mean, again, just look at that holo. I simply can't get over the holo on these. They are spectacular. So that one was Color Club's Crystal Baller. Next up is one of our darker blues that is also like a shattered metallic. This comes from Wet n Wild and their Fergie line, and this one is called Blue Eyed Soul. I think you can tell I have somewhat of a type with these metallic shades, and I think this one is perfect for winter. You have this deep wintry shade of blue and you've got the silver flecks in there from the metallic. This is it in 2 coats. This one didn't turn out to be super duper metallic on the nail, but you do still get a beautiful sheen. I again love this really dark blue. It still has a brightness to it and I think it's going to look really beautiful in winter. So that one was Wet n Wild's Blue Eyed Soul. Next up is another OPI. This one is called Angel's Flight to Starry Nights. And this one came to me in a mystery box, and it was actually one of the polishes that I had on my wish list from this release. I want to say it was either last year or the year before for a winter collection. I think it was a winter collection. And this one is another beautiful formula from OPI. I again love it when mainstream polishes or salon brands do special finishes like this. This one is aiming to be a holo, and it does reach that somewhat better than some attempts at holo, but it isn't quite a linear. You do get a really beautiful flare in there though. You got rainbows and you have a larger fleck in there of some color. I don't know if that's going to come across, but you sort of see that iciness that it's at the top of the bottle. That's that additional particle that I'm talking about. And here is that polish in 2 coats. This one had a really nice formula. I was happy with it in 2. I think it looks gorgeous on the nail. It's just not as linear as the Color Club for sure, but it is still really gorgeous. Again, this tone of blue I think is beautifully wintry. So that one was OPI's Angel's Flight to Starry Nights. And lastly, we're ending on a lighter blue from Sally Hansen. This one is called Hard Bitten, and this one is kind of like Essie's Bikini Sotini. You have this soft shade of blue that's got like a pinch of a dusty cornflower quality to it, and then there is a subtle shimmer to it. Here it is in 2 coats. This is another one that I thought was beautifully opaque in just 2. This tone of color I think could look beautiful for quite a number of seasons. I think you could wear this for spring, summer, or winter. You don't really see the shimmer on the nail. I'm not really seeing it add anything necessarily, but the color is gorgeous. And it's another one that I think is beautiful for winter. So that one was Sally Hansen's Hard Bitten. And there we have it. That was my winter rack part 2. If you want to see more of the polish on my winter nail polish rack that includes indies and boutique brands, definitely check out part number 1 and keep your eyes out for parts 3, 4, probably 5, 6, and 7. I will also have a winter rack specifically for my Zoys. This is also a collaboration, so make sure to check out the list of other collaborators and videos down below. I'm sure you'll find a lot of other neat suggestions for winter polishes for this season. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you in that next one.